no longer a Democrat at all.
I'm leaving the Democratic Party.
I'm stepping out of the label.
I'm leaving the Democratic Party.
Leaving the Democrat Party.
I've been sitting in my car for the last hour or so, just trying to process the last couple of days. And forgive me if I don't have the energy. It has been really troubling. I just came here to announce my official divorce from the Democratic Party. And you're talking to a guy who's been voted Democrat since I was 18 years old. Up until recently, I've been changing how I vote, but still carrying the label, you know. I'm the type of guy who doesn't jump ship. I try to be the voice of reason within the ship to try to steer it back to a true north. But this party has lost its way. The Democratic Party, let's be honest, has become demonic and barbaric. And I, as a Christian, can't be a part of that anymore. Look, I'm a proud and beautiful black man. I love being black. I love my skin, everything that comes with it. I was a proud Democrat. I remember they used to stand for the right thing. But before I'm beautifully black, before I am a member of any party, I'm a born-again Christian. I'm a born-again Christian, and the Democratic Party right now doesn't represent my values, my ethics, and I can't support the barbarism and the divisiveness that they've been engaged in. I mean, we can run down the list, guys. As recently as yesterday, because of the rhetoric that the Democratic Party has been spewing for the last 10 years or so, has been so extreme and so just over the top. That rhetoric resulted in a man who was professing his love to Jesus to strangers and have an open and civil dialogue, something we all should celebrate. I don't care whether you agree with his opinions or not. His opinions weren't coming from an evil place. He just wanted to talk. And he was assassinated for it. In front of his loved ones, in front of his family. And now 2 children don't have a father because a man just wanted to talk. A wife doesn't have a husband because a man just wanted to talk. I can't be a part of a party that did that. A party that fostered that. I can't. And you guys can run around acting like you're apologetic and you're sorry, but I know deep down inside you're not. I know you're not. I've heard your rhetoric for too long. My wife said that when somebody shows you who they are, you gotta believe them. And man, she's so right on this. I believe in who you are right now. I can't support a party that coddles criminals and vilifies victims. I can't. I just can't. 800,000 men and women get up every morning. We're not perfect, but we do the best we can to protect people and keep people safe. And because you guys have bought into a dangerous ideology as it relates to law enforcement that puts criminals on a pedestal and makes them the victims and calls the victims racist for wanting justice, that goes against the Bible. That goes against the gospel, because in the gospel, the Bible says God hates when the innocent are persecuted. And he hates when the guilty goes free. But that's what's happening. And the guilty keeps going free over and over and over again, resulting in the murder of a poor young lady on the train. It doesn't matter her color. She didn't deserve that. But if you're in the color, guess what? A few days before, a young black woman was murdered by a man who shouldn't have been here. I can't support a party that doesn't put its people first. I can't support a party who purposely and willfully broke the borders for power. Don't get it twisted. It wasn't about caring about people for other countries. It was about power. And they broke the border. And they let some people in here who shouldn't have been here, who hurt Americans, who hurt cities, who took over apartment buildings. Breaking the border caused more human trafficking. Hundreds of thousands of kids were trafficked. We don't even know where some of them are still. Fentanyl was able to come through, and you empowered the cartels to spread fentanyl throughout our country, killing hundreds of thousands of people every year. I can't support that as a Christian, and as a man, I can't. See, as a man, I'm a protector. I believe in protecting. The Democrats fail to protect Americans. You can't argue me down on this. You can't. Can't continue to have the Democratic label. Can't hold that for a party that wouldn't even stand for a 13-year-old black child who survived cancer. Or parents who lost their children to people who shouldn't have been here. I can't be a part of a party who engaged in silencing millions of Americans, violating their constitutional rights. I don't care what you say, that's what they did. They work with big tech to silence millions of Americans on a myriad of issues. That's the most un-American thing I've ever seen. And they got away with it. People who some of their opinions you may not have agreed with. Some of the opinions, disgusting. But many of the opinions were rooted in logic. They were rooted in sound logic. And you canceled them, you banned them, you kicked them off platforms so you could dominate the mic. I can't support a party that supports affirming children mutilating themselves while they're in a state of confusion. Look, if you turn 18 and you want to do that, let me tell you something. That's your business, and I'm still going to love you no matter what. But when a child is developing and growing, for God's sakes, why would we engage in barbarism against them? Why would we give them pills to alter them? Why would we do that when they're still growing and developing physically and mentally? I can't support that as a Christian man. I can't do that. I can't. So I could go on and on, guys. I can go on and on. And I'm not saying all Democrats are like this. I'm not saying all Democrat elected officials are evil or demonic. But for many of you, you know I'm right to sit there and be silent while this party spreads such divisive rhetoric, such hate. And then they have their pundits doing the same. And now everybody's washing their hands like, oh, we condemn violence in any form. What the hell did you think was going to happen? What the hell did you think was going to happen? When you keep calling half of the country Nazis, deplorables, racist, when you emotionally hijack people on college campuses where they can't reason or think, they can't think, they don't see people, they see something to hate. And over time, it inspires people to try to kill the other side. I can't. I saw you weaponize the justice system against one man because you wanted power. I had never seen one man go through so much. Whether you like the president or you hate him, I don't care. The one thing we should, as Americans, should agree on was that shouldn't have happened. It wouldn't have happened to anybody else. But I watched you guys abuse the justice system because you wanted power so badly. No. As a black man and as a Christian, I can't support the Democratic Party anymore. You got black people dying all over this country due to violent crime, and you're fighting the president who's trying to stop it from happening. You may not like how he's doing it, but man, he's proven it works, and you don't want to work with him to save more lives. As a black man, that bothers me. So, I am sorry for going so long, but until the Democratic Party gets their head on straight, I don't want to be associated with you anymore. You can call me an independent. You can call me whatever you want.
Sad news, Charlie Kirk has passed away. And I can say I am no longer a Democrat at all. The moment where you can't have a simple debate, right? Or you can't go on a college campus without getting shot, it's crazy. Then I go to the comments and these people are saying, well, great job, be on to the next type of deal. But this is the same people that want us to respect them because we don't agree all the way on gay marriage or any of the economics. So you want this guy to be killed? And that's okay with you? But yet you want to be the party of, let's all come together, let's be peaceful. You guys are not peaceful people at all. You are not peaceful people. You actually wanted this guy to die. You incited these people to do this. This is ridiculous. The moment where we can't have a clear debate, game on the table. This is crazy. I'm no longer a Democrat, will ever support any Democratic nominees. I just don't want to be a part of that party anymore.
I've been a Democrat all my life. All my family been a Democrat all their life. And this BS shit with Charlie Kirk and everybody acting stupid and don't care about this man life and his family life, I'm done with you. You know what I'm saying? The little boy that got a Secret Service, little kid, little black kid, when Trump had a little inauguration, whatever that event was he had, and you guys didn't stand up for him. I'm sick of, man, what the f is the matter with you guys? From this point on, I'm done with it. You know, I'm leaving the Democratic Party. You know, that don't make no sense. You guys are tyrants. You know, and it just don't make no sense. You know what I'm saying? So you guys need to wake up because you're going to lose your party.
These first voices hit like a crack in your heart. People who believed, who cared, who stayed, now saying, I can't anymore. It's like holding a candle and watching it slowly burn out until there is only smoke. When someone walks away, it's because the light became painful, because loyalty without truth feels empty.
I don't make political content on my page because of my own personal experience with speaking my mind on political topics. I went to a very liberal arts college, heavy on the liberal aspect. It was basically an echo chamber of liberal indoctrination, and I barely came out of there with a sane mind because any opinion that I had that wasn't 100% on board with liberals caused me to be socially ostracized, criticized with every name in the book: racist, homophobic, bigot, this, that, and the third, which couldn't be further from the truth. I mean, I used to be the biggest liberal out there. I actually organized and hosted my own protests when George Floyd died. Just you guys are gonna laugh, but I also had a septum piercing. I had blue hair, so I know that stereotype is out there. So it's kind of true, but that's how I was back around 2019, 2020, just that era. Where things started to change was when I started to get a lot of pushback and criticism for just speaking my own opinions on college campus. It really shook me deeply to my core and made me self-reflect, research a lot of topics, and I just started diving more into conservative opinions. So I started watching people like Amir Odom on YouTube, Amal Akanobi, Candace Owens, Ben Shapiro, Piers Morgan, Blair White. All of those prominent YouTube channels, started watching their videos, and I started realizing how much the left has brainwashed me in a way. Just my way of thinking was very much a victim mentality, and I wasn't happy when I was a Democrat. I was very upset, angered all the time, wasn't happy with myself. I wasn't at my healthiest back then either. So I think those are very interesting correlations. Now, it may not be the case for everyone, and it probably isn't, but for me personally, that was my experience as a Democrat. And I do think that part of the reason why that was is because the Democrat mindset is that you are a victim, subject to your circumstances as an Afro-Latina Black woman here in America. It's like, oh, you have no rights because you're Black and it's hard for you, you're probably poor and you can't do anything, you can't make your life better. Just, things like that just really when you internalize them, it becomes your reality, right? So that was like my reality back then. And I had to wake up and realize that that's not the case. Like, my mom is very successful. She has a very good, high-paying job. I was raised very comfortably, upper middle class. I was able to do whatever I wanted to do without an issue. And this is like when I was growing up. So the whole idea that just because I'm Black, I can't make the most of my situation is just completely false. Same applies to my family. There's hardly anybody in my family who's really struggling. If it's, that's not due to their own choices. Of course, I have some family members who are not doing as well as they could be, but they chose to do drugs. They chose to stay in really bad areas, which of course also impact how you view life. Everything has a cause and effect. And I started realizing that. And then, of course, with Charlie Kirk passing away and being assassinated, I actually had never seen any Charlie Kirk's videos. To be honest, I didn't really know who he was. I had heard of him, but I just didn't really know who he was. So when my coworker told me that Charlie Kirk was shot, I had to look into it, of course, because I didn't know if he was Republican, if he was liberal. I just didn't know. I didn't know where he stood. And ever since then, I've just been down the rabbit hole of Charlie Kirk's videos, and I just can't understand the hatred that this man had gotten. As someone who's also wrestled with my own faith, I grew up in a very traditional Christian household. I know what it's like to just, wrestle with that and your connection with God. Just in watching his videos, it's actually strengthened my relationship with God. It's brought me closer to him just to see how passionate, how secure he was in his faith. It's actually very admirable. And you can believe what you want. I don't care what you believe in. I just know for me how I was raised, it was deeply moving for me to see a man like that, especially in today's day and age, just so proud of his faith and proud to share that with other people. I'm always scared to bring up my faith in conversation because of the criticism that I've gotten in the past. And also my own personal struggles as well. But watching his videos just showed me how dark and demonic people have been in their reaction to his assassination. I had a coworker post to a story, "Let's thank so-and-so for using her birthday powers to kill Charlie Kirk." Comments like that are just so disgusting. I actually can't fathom why anybody would think it's okay to post that. I'm not the biggest Kamala fan, but if she was assassinated, I would not feel joy about that. And I just think it says a lot about a person when they do express those types of feelings openly, online especially, when things like that happen. Now, you can feel however you want about Charlie Kirk. I certainly don't agree with him on every single take he's had, but I would not wish for anybody to be assassinated for just speaking their opinion, especially how he did it so eloquently, respectfully. It didn't matter who you are, Black, white, brown, anything in between, mixed, from a different country as well, because many people from overseas also loved Charlie Kirk. If you're trans, gay, non-binary, any part of the rainbow, if you were on that spectrum, he would still treat you like a human being. And that's what people should do. People should aspire to be like that, to treat others with respect, regardless of what their opinions are, regardless of what their political affiliations are as well. Because at the end of the day, we are all human beings. We are all worthy of being loved, respected, and accepted, and to be able to speak our minds, because that's one of our rights that we have here in the United States as American citizens. We have the right to speak our minds freely. Of course, there are consequences, but the consequence should never be death. That, to me, is just awful. And the fact that there are so many on the left who support that, who support ostracization and assassinations just because you don't agree with somebody, just deeply bothers me, and is why I personally cannot associate myself with the left anymore. Any party that is like that, I can't get on board with, personally speaking. And I wouldn't necessarily say I'm like a full-on MAGA conservative, because that's not true, but I definitely do resonate more with the idea that the left has left me, because this is a party that I don't even recognize anymore. I think they have lost the plot. I think that there are some serious fundamental issues with the left that need to be addressed and reformed and changed if they expect people to proudly support the Democratic Party. Now, the right obviously is not perfect. There are some issues there as well, but I don't see people on the right celebrating horrific events like that. I really don't. All I see is just people who are accepting, loving, kind. They advocate for, the uplifting of America and American citizens to make this country the best it could be, to advocate for a free market to take advantage of this country and all the joys it has to offer. Loving yourself, loving others, and respecting your relationship with faith and just traditional values, which I think have been lost. There's nothing wrong with traditional values. That should also include gay rights as well, because traditionally speaking, we've had gay rights for a long time now. So, this whole idea that, conservatives are homophobic, racist, bigoted, that's just not the case. That has not been my experience. In fact, I have been met with nothing but open arms from people on the right, as opposed to being ostracized on the left for just speaking my mind and opinion and having a clear, rational thought. Now, if you can relate to my experience, I would love to hear your journey as well in the comments. Please don't take offense to anything that I've said. This is just my own opinion and my own experience, and just me talking about it just because I've been trying to find my community, and I felt so alone for such a long time. I do think now is the time to start finding my community and those who at least share similar experiences. So please let me know.
As a registered Democrat, all I have to say is the Charlie Kirk shooting just proves that we are the worst, man. My party is the fucking worst. I got people celebrating, hoping that he dies. Are we fucking for real right now? Where's the empathy? Where's the respect, man? It's disgusting. It's disgusting, truly. And the fact of the matter is this: he was a father, and whether or not I agree with his political opinions, all he truly wanted to do at the core was see this country be the best, and I can fucking respect that. And to see people just be blatantly disgusting, man, we're the worst, man. We're horrible.
I used to proudly call myself a liberal. I still believe in equality, healthcare access, LGBTQ+ rights, definitely science and social programs. But I've grown really tired of the performance, the fear-mongering, and the refusal to have real conversations. I don't want to be here to scream or cancel or shame somebody into agreeing with me. I believe that we need to listen to each other even when we disagree, because change doesn't happen in an echo chamber. I'm not switching sides. I'd say I'm stepping out of the label. I'm an independent, logic-based thinker who's done letting political parties define my humanity. I'm still progressive, but I care more about the truth than tribalism. You can fight for justice without losing your critical thinking. If you want to argue, go talk to somebody else. But if you're ready to listen, then I'm all ears. Not everything needs to be red versus blue. Like, for example, here's some things that I know we can agree on. Our healthcare is broken. You shouldn't go bankrupt just because you got sick in red or blue states. Big corporations, for example, have too much power. They lobby both parties, and working people end up paying the price. Veterans and the elderly deserve better care, period. No excuses. Mental health matters. It's not woke to want trauma support, for example, especially for kids and veterans. The middle class is being squeezed by inflation, housing costs, and endless debt, which is just not sustainable. We need civil liberties. Your right to speak, worship, protest, own property, and make personal choices. I think another thing that we could agree on is that we both need to protect democracy, which means fair elections, checks and balances, and yes, accountability for every party. And this is the one that's gonna piss you liberals and you Democrats and anybody on the left off. Nobody should be hated for how they voted. Basically, what I mean by that is no one should be sliced for asking questions. I'm not here to hate conservatives. I'm definitely not fucking here to blindly follow liberals. I'm here because I want to bridge the gap and speak truth and hopefully make this country less divided and a hell of a lot smarter. And if that makes me hard to categorize, then good. I just don't want to associate myself with a party that is screaming into the void. I don't want to associate myself with a party who doesn't understand that productive conversations mean something. If you guys really wanted change, you wouldn't be sitting here calling every fucking conservative uneducated idiots. Conservatives are capable of having conversations, and for everybody on the left to accuse them of just being incapable of that, you're not making any changes. You're not going to have productive conversations. All you're going to do is push people more to not understanding your points. If you're trying to come at somebody with something that you know is a fact, don't insult them about it. You say it's hard to have conversations with conservatives, but it's the way that you approach them. And it's associated with the left now. The left is just like these angry fucking people who can't have conversations as far as the conservatives are concerned. I'm not switching parties, but I sure as fuck don't want to be associated with the left anymore. I want to be able to make real change and have real conversations, and I'm not going to get that done by calling myself a liberal.
Here's where things burn. You see grief, you see anger, you see betrayal. This isn't about politics now. It's about values. It's about what you believe a human life is worth. They are tired of silence, tired of cheering for what hurts them. They are whispering, are we still good? Do we still care?
So I have officially left the Democratic Party a few days ago, and I haven't made a video about it, really haven't told anybody besides my brother about it. And the reason I did it was because I cannot be linked and affiliated with a party that has members in it that would do exactly what happened to Charlie Kirk. Now, you could say that the shooter, the information we got from him is that he was a conservative and he came from a conservative family. True, that is true. But his family did say he's been radicalized. Regardless of his political affiliation, just like I know that I've been a Democrat for my entire adult life, and I am thinking the way that I'm thinking now, he can think the opposite as well, regardless of him being a conservative. But somebody who would do something like that, just somebody who is just talking about free speech, conservative values, and God, obviously hates what Charlie represented. Charlie himself, the movement that he started, which is a right-wing movement. And the only other people that have called the right-wing fascists are leftists. The left, the Democratic Party, Democratic speakers, Democratic news organizations, they've called the right fascists for years now. And one of his bullet casings was labeled fascist. For me, it was a huge move. I did it on 9/11/2025, and I registered Democrat when I first turned 18 in 2008. I voted for Obama. At the time, I did not like the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, and Republicans and conservatives meant, for me, they meant war. And I did not want that as an 18-year-old. I did not want that. They were unjust, no weapons of mass destruction, they lied. I didn't want that. And so I voted for Obama. Obama was very, very, he was a very, very good speaker. And he was also just so almost regular guyish at the time, like very, very friendly. And he was the first black president. He was young. So I voted for Obama. And since then, I voted for Democrats up until last year. Every single year. I voted for Obama several times. I voted for Biden, Hillary, Bernie. I was a huge Bernie bro. I love Bernie. Actually, Bernie was the one political cause that I really focused on. I had banners, I had flyers. I really like Bernie a lot. And the first time that I voted Republican was last year with Trump. Now, prior to last year's election, I would say right before he got his mugshot. On my For You page, I got a couple of videos on my For You page on TikTok, and they were of Vivek Ramaswamy and Charlie Kirk debating college students. And this led me down that rabbit hole, these videos. I was hearing the nonsense that was coming out of the college students and the common sense that was coming out, common sense which I thought everybody had. At the time, I was not political at all because I was trying to ignore the Biden stuff. I mean, especially the pullout out of Afghanistan, I was trying to ignore it because I wasn't happy with my vote at the time. But I was like, you know, whatever, I'm not going to be into politics. But once I started seeing those videos, I'm like, these common sense things that I'm thinking that everybody else thinks it's common sense, it may not be too common sense on these college campuses. And Vivek was so charismatic. I liked him a lot. And he was just speaking about so many values that I believed in at the time. But Charlie, he was a man of God. And as a man of God, for someone who was atheist at the time or agnostic at anything, it was interesting. He was my first deep dive into Christianity, really. Because he talked a lot about Bible verses and his perspective and things like that, about stuff like that. And it was new to me. So he was like my first real pastor that I was paying attention to, that was actually focusing on the things that he was saying during these debates. And then Trump almost gets assassinated. When Trump almost gets assassinated, the first time, I remember thinking that someone stopped that from happening. I just felt it. And I turned my life over to Christ at that moment. Again, already being influenced by Charlie, and I've been going to church. My wife is Christian. She was taking me to church. I was going with them in the family for a few years. So I was starting to become not atheist, but agnostic. And at that moment, I just felt in that moment, there was also a string of other stuff in my personal life that made me feel like someone was watching my back. And so I became Christian. And then after seeing the debates between Trump and Biden, I was like, Trump's got to be the guy. There's no other way. Kamala got in there. I was like, no, there's no way. So I voted for Trump. Well, after what happened last couple days and how horrible that was, my faith has told me that it's time. I cannot be affiliated with people that would spew not like this garbage and nonsense. And unfortunately, people receive some of it, and then they radicalize. Not saying that only radicals can come from the left. We can come from anywhere, really. But as you can see, this guy's conservative, and just recently he turned more political and now against, conservatives. So they've been looking through his computers and things like that, and they find that he's connected to a lot of left-wing stuff, a lot of fascist, anti-fascist stuff. Just like he could do that, me, who has been a Democrat and at one point an extreme liberal. Like I was watching TYT, Jank, Anna, now going to the point where I'm watching Candace Owens, Charlie Kirk, Ben Shapiro, a couple others. Like anybody can change their affiliation. It's your actions that dictate who you are. And the actions that happened a few days ago dictated who that person was. And it also dictated, it was the effect of what's been going around when you villainize the other side so heavily. Cause and effect. But yeah, so this is my video. I'm maybe they'll get me back, but at this point now, I just can't be a part of it. And I've spent my entire adult life with them, so I'll spend the next couple of years with the Republicans and see what happens with them.
This person says, I'm leaving the Democratic Party as of today. Let's go Trump. Praise the Lord. I literally called this in my last video. I said it is going to take, unfortunately, Charlie Kirk's assassination for people to wake up from the Democratic Party. And if you read this comment section, it is full of Democrats saying the exact same thing, being lifelong Democrats, leaving the Democratic Party as of today. And this comment is not from a video that I posted. It's something entirely different. It's the House of Representatives on the House floor, and Anna Paulina Luna, she is U.S. Representative, Republican, and she was asking for a moment of prayer on behalf of Charlie Kirk's passing. And a Democrat, they yelled out, "No!" And they go back and forth. So then Anna Paulina Luna, she starts yelling out, y'all did this. Like, this is because of you guys. The violence that they incite, yeah, she called it out. Even Dean Withers, Parker, his best friend, so many people are stating the obvious. If you are rejoicing at someone's demise, literally them being unalived, you're the issue. And anyone that laughs at a loss of a life, shame on you.
Well, guys, I have come to the decision that I am leaving the Democrat Party. I no longer support any of that in which they are pushing, especially the radicalized propaganda. No. Psych. Guys, Trump all the way, baby. You know, thank God Donald Trump is president. It's just so unfortunate that Charlie Kirk lost his life just for speaking his opinions. Again, now, he didn't lose his life for stuff that he has done. He lost it because the left didn't agree with him. And I know you guys are like, oh, he comes from a Republican family. Guess what? My entire family's liberal, and I'm the only Republican, so it does work that way, too. Just so you guys know. The Democrats are trying to push this agenda because Tyler's entire family was Republican, and that means he was. No, it does not. Clearly, the voting records prove that he is an unaffiliated voter, and yet, you know what? Using the word voter is wrong because he's never even voted. But he's had a sick dislike of Donald Trump since 2016 when he went out for Donald Trump and assassinated Donald Trump in 2016 for Halloween. So, yeah, nobody can convince me that this guy was a Trump supporter.
These clips shift from reaction to decision. They're not just saying this feels wrong, but this identity no longer aligns. Notice how many bring up beliefs that once shaped them: faith, moral values, fairness, truth. And now they say those foundational beliefs are under attack or ignored. Staying in this party feels like living a contradiction. It's hard to walk away. It's even harder when your family, your history, your community are tied to that identity. But the strength here is in the honesty. Better to depart than live a lie. And that's what many are declaring. Let this not be just another video, another scroll. Let this be your stand. Speak truth. Protect what's good. Walk away from what betrays your values. We don't need perfect parties, but we do need honest hearts. Let your conscience speak louder than your comfort.